Today's webinar topic is going to be ChatGPT and its most popular AI apps. We're going to be talking about plugins. We're going to be talking about the paid version of ChatGPT and what we can do with it. How can we expand our knowledge with it even more and come up with something fun for us today. My name is Job Tenhunen and I come from Tieturi Oy. I work there as a product area manager and a trainer, especially related to AI topics nowadays. And like I said, today we're going to be talking about ChatGPT and especially how to harness its benefits and features from the paid version. Let's get going. And that brings us to today's topic. ChatGPT, the sort of technology that has revolutionized the world of digital communication in this last year, pretty much. And after all, ChatGPT is not just a simple chatbot, but it's an intelligent helper or assistant, if you will, who is always ready to help, learn, and adapt with us. It's of course, an sort of intelligent helper, intelligent assistant that uses advanced machine learning and natural language processing to understand and answer our questions, or rather prompts. If you've been using ChatGPT more, that's the word we are using for these sort of tools. But it helps us answer our questions, our prompts, quite realistically and quite naturally, actually, nowadays. And so we can sort of imagine ChatGPT as the assistant who is always ready to help, and at worst costs us only around $20, 20 euros a month, and that's about it. So 24/7, 365 days working assistant who only charges us at worst $20 a month. But from here we can actually move on to the value part. Should I be using the free version or the paid version? The free version allows us to try ChatGPT's basic features for free, of course. It assists still us in many languages. All the basic stuff is there. But then again, once you start moving into a little bit more complex questions, a little bit lengthier conversations with ChatGPT, that's where usually it starts stumbling quite a lot. But now, if you want to really step up your use of AI and ChatGPT to the next level, the paid version opens up the doors for like much more diverse features, like just simply more power and memory, the plugins that we're discussing today, photo and speech recognition, and even priority support. And the question more moves on to the fact that how much value do you want to add to your conversation with ChatGPT? Of course, the free version is fun helper, but I can straight up say that the paid version offers us so many more new things and gadgets and things that can help us in our daily work, that it's really is I really highly recommend it, and think that if you're actually really thinking about starting using it in your work, in your free time, wherever it is, the paid version is just simply better. I can raise my hands and I have no monetary connections towards OpenAI or ChatGPT, but still it's a big thumbs up from me. I highly suggest, if you haven't tried it yet, you should at least try it at least once. But the key difference between this free and paid version, of course, lies in the size of the models and the training material that they've been taught. GPT-4's model size is just simply much larger, which means that it can handle much more complex tasks and produces more accurate answers. Even uses like more nuanced language, better in all languages and in every aspect. But of course, this is all due to the much wider educational data set that which has been taught, and which simply gives it a more broader knowledge base and better understanding of context, really starts understanding what we are discussing, really starts understanding even simple typos that we are making, it still gives us way better answers than the free version does. And of course, the development of these tools is of course also wild. If you've seen the news lately, lots of news, different kinds of news coming up from there. And during literally the last month, there have been all kinds of new features that don't even need plugins that we are discussing today, but we'll come back to that another time. Now we should start focusing on the actual main topic of today, which is the plugins. But just before we take a closer look at the plugins, it's a good thing here to remind you of a couple of few things about data protection and responsible use of data, and a little bit boring topics, but of course super highly important, especially when we're talking about using these at our companies, at our work. What kind of information can we share and what can we not share? First of all in all, ChatGPT is a fun tool. It brings us great many uses, but still, firstly, humans are still needed to double check the information out of ChatGPT. And to monitor, of course, its use as well, its use cases, what sort of information is coming out of ChatGPT and how are we using it? Does it have any copyrighted material, and so on, so forth. So ChatGPT as a whole won't replace us quite yet. We are not yet at that point. But again, as thinking of it as a tool, human know-how is still needed. Whether it's where we ask it some simple questions and it gives us some sort of simple answer, whether we ask something more complex, or whether we give it some sort of assignment that it has to use plugins for, humans are still needed almost at every step of the way, just to double check everything. That is perhaps one of the most important things to realize, that even though it's still developing, it's developing multitudes of different functionalities. You can even talk to it nowadays. You can give it pictures and it understands your pictures and so on. Human touch is still needed. But in a sense, where we need to get more specific with things is the security side of things. And I'd like to remember that all the use of sort of personal data, customer data, and what are their limitations in a sense. For example, we cannot include information while we're discussing with ChatGPT that includes address information, social security number, or any other personal information, as even though OpenAI says that conversations are not recorded or stored, but our answers are still used in developing ChatGPT, giving it more training data, unless we specifically fill out the form that says do not, but meaning that even though they say nothing is saved, of course everything is saved. We are talking about a huge multinational company, IT company. Of course they store our data somewhere, and they directly say to us that they are using it to training the model again and again, basically. Now this then starts sounding a little bit worrying. If we cannot use our data that we are trying to analyze, for example, at work, if we cannot use our data that we've been collecting but cannot use it there, what can we do? Well, we can of course anonymize data. We don't need to have customer 1 through 10 having their names out and addresses and everything. We can just have them as a customer 1, customer 2, customer 3, and numbers in general are just numbers, so they are easier to anonymize than perhaps some open-ended written data. But still pointing out, be highly careful with any sort of data that could be used in recognizing some information from your company, from yourself, from your personal life. So highly suggest not to use any kind of data like that at all, but making sure that it's anonymized and being careful, like actually precise with your anonymization and making sure that all the answers, open-ended ones at least, do not have any sort of recognizable information. The plugins that we are discussing today, then on top of are basically built on top of ChatGPT, but by different companies. So while OpenAI directly says that the outputs that we get out of ChatGPT without prompts belong to us, and they wash their hands off of them, other plugins don't automatically offer this same sort of solution. So it's important that your data is secure, and you need to remember that by using plugins, the information again goes through another company other than OpenAI at the same time as well. So just have to be careful with that. And of course, with different services, in a bit, I'll show you the picture of how many plugins there are nowadays. When we're discussing different services, different providers, we need to be even more careful that our information is secure and that our data is secure. So we need to take that into account as well. And often with different plugins, you will have to log in separately to another service in order to take the full capabilities of certain plugins. But then that's a whole nother topic as well. But just as a reminder, be secure with your use of ChatGPT when you're playing around or whether you're using it for work as well. But now we get to the main topic of today. The paid version opens us the possibility of starting to use all these different plugins, add-ons. I'll show it to you in a bit directly from ChatGPT as well. If you don't know where these plugins currently reside, there's been a couple of little changes. But all in all, these plugins, they're like superpowers that allow ChatGPT to focus on a specific topic. They enable the use of diverse and customized functions, enhancing and enriching the use of ChatGPT, the whole experience in a sense. And plugins can then combine ChatGPT with other systems and services, creating sort of these seamless and efficient workflows. Currently, this is already a little bit old picture actually. There's 126 pages, that times 8, that many plugins were there back then. We'll see soon the current situation, but there are over 1,000 different plugins. And of course, a large number of them perform the same sort of tasks, such as reading PDF files, browsing web, or just maybe even planning holiday trips with AI Assistant. Today, we will only be focusing on a few of these. So let's not go through the entire plugin store, but I definitely recommend everyone to browse these pages and just a bit and see what kind of plugins are available. Like I said, there's over 1,000 different of them, so it's gonna take a while to try out all of them, but a hefty amount of curiosity helps there quite well. And many of them can actually surprise you and help you make sort of valuable discoveries from among them. So highly suggest that you go and check what's going on the plugin store. But like I said, today we'll be focusing only on a couple of different ones here. We're going to be focusing on something to actually help us read the links, whether it's link reader or ask your PDF. We're going to be showing this diagram show me, creating different kinds of confusing diagrams. There's a little translation error there. Mind maps or project diagrams verbally. We can just give them out to ChatGPT, and it's going to make them to us. And then we of course have the smart slides, creating presentations quickly, avoiding the fear of white paper, that sort of tool there as well. But whether it's spreadsheets or customer feedback, anonymized data can be used for example, sentiment analysis, or like analysis of how positive or negative some feedbacks have been, for example, in customer feedback. Or another example where you would analyze the frequency of words in a marketing team. We could ask for feedback, we could ask for development suggestions, for already completed ideas, and of course, implementations, and regardless of the product or service that we are providing, then for newer ones as well. But this is one of the main points of ChatGPT's paid version, the ability to analyze and go through a large amount of information or data quickly. That's what makes it useful. And it's even more about what we would like to do instead of like what we are capable of. But actually here we can start jumping towards ChatGPT. So I can start giving you some direct examples. So I hopped onto ChatGPT, and first things first, let's see where we can find our plugins. Remember, from your settings, from the lower left corner, settings and beta, you go to beta features and enable your plugins from here. So if you are currently paying for the paid version of ChatGPT and don't find anything here, or cannot find the plugins, this is probably the reason, and make sure to put on this tab here. And of course, why not take in the advanced data analysis as well? That's a topic for another webinar, but at least enable the plugins from here. So next up, how do you find the plugins from your main view of ChatGPT? Well, you go to where it says ChatGPT 4, and here you then have the option for the plugins as well. So here you have GPT-4, the paid version, you have 3.5, and then you have the plugins here as well. So we click on the plugins. Oh, I see here already have enabled the plugins that I want to be using. But just to show you guys, I can open up here, click here, roll down, and there you can find the plugin store as well. Then it looks something like along the lines of this. Here we have the plugin store. Here you have the tab for the most popular ones. You have 3 pages of the most popular ones, whether it's coding related, PDF related. We have the diagram show me here as well. Like I said, it takes a whole bit of time to just go through all of these different options that are available. But here we also have link reader. You can have Google Sheet helps here as well, kayak booking, holidays and stuff. But then of course going to the all page, then you can see, okay, 130 pages, 130 times 8, that's well over 1,000 different plugins. So lots of them available for us here. But all in all, we have a couple of examples installed already, so let's start using them. So we have the link reader, we have the diagram show me, and we have the smart slides additions here. Now, how I like using these sort of plugins, it's usually when I want some sort of information a little bit more available for just checking. When I wanna find information, when I wanna read something quickly, when I want to analyze something, when I don't wanna watch a YouTube video, for example, but I wanna know what's inside the YouTube video with the closed captions and everything, then these are the tools that I'm gonna be using. So let's say we have this sort of study here that we wanna be using. this one from Stanford, Generative AI Perspectives from Stanford 2023. Let's say I want to figure out what this research here has come up with. Of course, this is only 22 pages. It could be longer, it could be shorter, and 22 pages I could basically read kind of quickly, even without the help of AI. But of course, what's an example without me showing you guys how it works? So I just copy and paste the public PDF link for the file, and I say to ChatGPT, download and summarize this research. Research. And let's see what it does for us. Hopefully the servers are doing good today so that I don't get the classic demo effect of something not working. But yeah, I told it to download and summarize the research paper. Now it's going to give us a short summary of what it has eaten, basically. Okay, it's going for the introduction. AI's great inflection point. Even who wrote it. Oh, it's feeling a little bit slow today. Now it speeds up again. But yeah, this is a good way for us to see what the research includes. Are the topics inside of it interesting for us or useful for our company? Let's say that we would want to use this research for something that we are doing inside the company, some research of our own. And there, pretty quickly, without us having to read the research paper directly, we could say that, okay, we have an introduction, AI's great inflection point, the potentials of synthetic patients, upending healthcare, an AI window into nature, the new tools of daily life, and creativity in the age of AI. Okay, so a lot of good topics here. And let's say that we would want to delve deeper into it. But let's also say that maybe even still reading this and might not give us the sort of greatest output that we would want out of this research. And let's say we are more a visual learner, for example. So we could say to ChatGPT, make a mind map out of the main topics of the research. Type today, make a mind map out of the main topics of the research. Let's just go with that. Let's say we are a little bit more visual learner. Let's say we have something specific that we would want to do with this sort of research and helps us analyze it a little bit more this way. It's crunching down for a little bit, but again, if we would have to do a mind map on our own, it's going to take a while. At least from my perspective, it's going to take a little while for me to start then building this mind map. But here we can see all the main topics that we just came through in the summary. They're found here. Now we can a little bit more easily analyze, is this worth the read for us, for example, or could we use this in some sort of capability inside of our company, for example. Some useful information there. But okay, that's another plugin that we can use. We could also use this to make process charts. We could use it for making organizational charts. We can still go and edit these themselves here. And okay, that's a pretty good thing, making it easy for us to then again improve upon the results that we get out of here. But let's say that this is not enough for us either, and we could want to use even one more plugin here. And let's say that we found this information interesting for us. Let's say that we found it useful for us. So then we'd like to make a presentation out of it for some sort of customer case, for example, or some sort of project. So then we would say, make me a 5-slide presentation on the main topics of the research. Use red and white colors and don't use any placeholder texts, but fill with your own information. Make me a 5-slide presentation on the main topics of the research. Use red and white colors, a little bit of branding here, and don't use any placeholder text, but fill it with your own information. Let's see what it does. Now it's starting to use the Smart Slides plugin here. I'm gonna crack down on it for a little while. You can click here to see what it's doing. It's creating slides, it's creating colors and everything, but let's not look at that more. It's gonna disturb the screen quite a bit there. It's cracking down on it for a couple of more seconds. Okay, it seems to be finished. And where's our presentation? Okay, now it's coming back in. And these are, of course, just a couple of examples. This is just 3 plugins that I've been using here today. And of course, now I'm using them all separately, one by one, but I could have in the beginning just straight up said, from this research, make me a PowerPoint presentation, make me a mind map, and make me a summary of the whole research and fill that presentation in with it. But I feel like this step-by-step way of doing this helps demonstrate it a little bit more. So, but just that we could make it a little bit easier for us as well. Okay, you can download the presentation from the following link. It says to us, okay, here's your presentation. Let's see, I'll open it up. Let's see how I get it up to you guys. Just a second. Of course, then this is again the first version that we could get from ChatGPT. Let's see here. Of course, they're branding a little bit on their own. We could move it onto our company background. A little bit bright red here on this slide, but you can see it made it on texts. AI's great inflection point, the potentials of synthetic patients, pending healthcare, creativity in the age of AI, and so on and so forth. It made us the basic slides here based on the information. So again, it would be easier to then start building the presentation from here, move it onto your own company template, add in all the necessary pictures and such to then move forward. But it's a lot easier and it took a lot less time by doing it this way than starting the presentation from scratch here. But this just as an example of what we might be capable of with the help of ChatGPT's plugins here. So we made a summary, pretty hefty summary, actually pretty long summary. Might have been easier reading the abstract from that research, but it helps us understand a little bit what's going on inside. We get a visual way of giving us that data as well about the main topics at least. Of course, then we could start editing this and asking it for a different kind of presentation for us. And then of course we made the presentation itself. So all in all, what it took us like less than 10 minutes to come up with all of this. And that seems a lot quicker already than might still be working on the summary if we had to do all of these same things mainly. And of course, we would have had to read the whole thing as well. Now, this same sort of analysis can be done on, for example, YouTube videos as well. If they have these closed captions, let's say we have a TED talk here that is available for example, then we could summarize it and make mind maps out of it and make presentations out of it all the same way as the PDFs, and even other websites are available to be analyzed in a way like this. So this is definitely a good way of trying to figure out like those use cases for ChatGPT, because the main problem that I seem to run with most people that have started using ChatGPT is the fact that it's hard to figure out those sort of tasks and things where you could use it in your daily work. And that's one of the most important things, where you can try playing around a little bit, of course, but then to find out what are the specific tasks where ChatGPT would prove beneficial for you, of course. Here I had on these slides, I had these same examples, but in written format. So we can enter PDF link. We can use it to use and request a summary of the topic or any other questions. We can make the mind maps. We can make the presentations. But the main point here is that even though ChatGPT doesn't do something right now, it doesn't mean that it's not able to do it at all. ChatGPT is constantly learning, whether it's data analytics, whether it's DALL-E 3 creating us pictures, whether it's Bing search, and right, like all of these functions here on the screen have been really late additions to ChatGPT and have revolutionized the usage of ChatGPT even more. Whether you want to just simply talk with ChatGPT, it feels very natural. Even in Finnish, for example, talking to it, you can give it pictures and it understands the context in images. It can explain out to you difficult project charts, for example. You can use it for quick Googling of some things and making research with that, and of course analyzing data sets of different types and sorts. And these are not even plugins, these are not even add-ons, these are just basic functionalities nowadays in ChatGPT. So highly suggest to you guys to take in on the around 20 euros, $20 monthly price in order to see better what's going on. All in all, that is it from me from today. I wish you a good rest of the day and hope to see you guys again, whether it's on courses or webinars. So thanks a lot.